Hey guys, Ray from Love Your RV and Boat. Back in July, I did an installation of our Xantrex Freedom XC Pro marine inverter charger. We had decided to buy this one to replace an older version that had worn out in it, and it also was a modified sine wave, and I wanted a pure sine wave. So I said I'd come back and do a review of it once I had used it for a few months, and we've been out boating for a few months, so I've had a good chance to figure it out and come up with my likes and a few dislikes. If you missed the installation, I'll link back to that. Anyway, it's really become the heart of our system here. This is basically the off-grid system I have going on our boat called Vestry. It's a 34-foot trawler, and the Xantrex 2000 watt inverter charger is kind of the heart of it here. I really like the charger function. It's been a hit with me. The inverter part of it's a pure sine wave inverter. It's hasn't had a hiccup or anything. It runs everything that we need to run. We do a lot of charging of battery charging and laptops and computers and that sort of thing. But I also use the charger to charge my lithium bank here. I have a 300 amp hour lithium battery bank, and also I have a couple portable power stations, so I use the inverter functionality to charge those as well. And I have a gas generator that I will feed into it. Especially this time of year, it's getting into fall and we're getting a lot of cloudy weather, less sunshine, so I'm starting to charge via that when I'm off grid, more so than the solar panels. Just if you don't have sun, you can't charge. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to go through some of my likes and dislikes. I'll go through first all the settings on the app. I had bought the remote display and app, and also I'll give you kind of a live use case where I'm using the generator um, to power the inverter so that it can charge my batteries and also charge my power stations. Anyway, let's go. So let's go through the settings for this inverter charger. We'll start with inverter ignition control. This is not something I use on the boat, but you can have auto on or lockout. It's for when you're using it with a vehicle. You can connect it to the accessory input on your ignition and have the inverter controlled that way. So when the vehicle is off, you can have the inverter off, that sort of thing. Low battery cutoff, I have mine set for 11.5 volts, but you can have a bunch of different settings there, all the way down to 10 volts and as high as 12.8 volts. Low battery cutoff delay timer, a bunch of different settings there. I just leave it at the stock setting, 300 seconds. Low battery recovery voltage, I have mine set for 12.6. Same thing, there's a bunch of different settings for that. Power save time. So this is mainly useful, say you leave your boat at the marina and something happens to the shore power, and then the inverter switches over and starts using your batteries. You may not want it to use it for a certain amount of time and run your boat batteries completely dead, so you can go from 0 to 25 hours. I'm always on the boat, so I just have mine set to off because I don't want it to turn off. Power save mode, enable, disable. So if there's no load, it'll turn itself off. I run a lot of smaller loads, so I don't want that feature on, otherwise the thing will turn off on me. Output frequency, it's just 60 or 50 European or North American. Output voltage, you can adjust that if you want. I leave mine at 120. Inverter power output limit, so you can lower it if you want. Maybe some reason you'd want to do that, as far as maybe using a generator or something. I just leave it at the max 2000. Power output power limit timer. So it's used especially with pairing with lithium-ion battery. The timer automatically disabled if maximum inverter output power limit is selected. I'm not sure about that. Transfer mode, I use this. You can have it as appliance. So that's good for running motors, but I put it in UPS mode because we have some sensitive computers and stuff. So when the power gets transferred from shore to battery, it's less than equal to or less than 10 milliseconds, which is important, so that your computer, or say our Starlink, is pretty sensitive to that, our Starlink internet dish. Inverter shutdown recovery. Inverter shuts down when there is an over temperature, overload, short circuit condition. Selecting auto restart will allow the inverter to recover automatically from a shutdown. I just have mine set for manual restart because I'm always around. And then there's your charger settings, battery type. I have mine right now. I'm charging lithium batteries, but you can do custom AGM, gel, or flooded. Default battery temperature, hot, cold, warm. And also you can plug in a battery temperature compensation sensor on it as well if you're using lead acid, especially in cold environments. Charger ignition control. Charger operates only in tandem with the vehicle's ignition circuit. I'm not using that. Equalized charging for flooded battery. I have lithium, so I'm not using that, but it's nice that it has an equalization mode. Charging current, this is really a killer feature for me. You can go down to 5, and then in 5 amp increments all the way to 100 amps. So a lot of times I'll be charging with a generator, especially when the boat's underway. I like to charge up our batteries, lithium batteries, with this unit using a portable gas generator on the back of the boat. So the boat's alternator is charging my lead acid bank, whereas I'm using this to charge the lithium bank. And sometimes I'm charging power stations at the same time, so I can maximize my generator. I have a 2000 watt generator. I can go and maximize the amperage without overloading the generator, so that's nice that I can go in and adjust that. And you have under custom, you can set your absorption voltage and float voltage for batteries. Grid, you can set utility AC under voltage, so I have mine set for 104. Breaker setting on 30 amp. So you can set it to whatever you like. My boat's got a 30 amp service. Audible alarm, reset to default settings, and then we just have some device information. So yeah, the app makes it very easy to set all these things. It's kind of convoluted when you're using the actual buttons on the inverter itself. There's only 3 buttons to do it, so it's kind of tedious to do that. So I'll give you an example of how I use the Xantrex inverter charger when we're underway off-grid. I'm trying to recharge my lithium batteries, so I have a portable generator running on the very back of the boat, and it's feeding power. You can see with this ActiStart app, it's feeding power into my shore power cord, and then that is in turn charging my lithium battery bank. But I can also utilize the inverter output, the AC output, to recharge some of my little portable power stations. This is a handy little one that I use quite often. A lot of times I'll run my Starlink internet dish off it. It gives me another battery source of power. And then I also have a big EcoFlow power box, and I can use the same deal. I can use the inverter's output. So the generator is running through the inverter, and then it can recharge this. So I find, a lot of times we have a 3 or 4 hour trip to do, and the alternator takes care of the lead acid, and then the inverter will take care of these devices, so we can arrive fully charged. So let's go through some of my likes and a few of the dislikes. Most of these likes are the reason why I bought this particular product. So let's start with 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. The one the boat had was a modified sine wave, which is more of a square wave, which can cause problems with sensitive gear and chargers. Chargers can run hot, that sort of thing. So I wanted a pure sine wave. It also has a 4,000 watt surge for up to 5 seconds, which can be helpful if you're starting something with a motor or something like that. I don't think I'll really need that on the boat too much, but it's nice to have. A big reason was this 100 amp charging level. And it was also nice to see it was adjustable from 5 amps up to 100 amps in 5 amp increments. And that can be done easily through the app. Built-in transfer switch, so when we go to the dock, it'll automatically switch over to dock power, shore power, and when we leave, it'll automatically switch back to a battery-powered situation. And it also has UPS backup setting, has what they call an appliance setting, which where it switches a little bit slower, I guess, to run compressors and things like that. But I keep it on the UPS setting for 10 milliseconds so that I find if it's greater than that, sometimes sensitive things like my Mac computers, Apple computers, and our Starlink internet dish is sensitive to that. If the switchover is too long, it will turn off. Um, Also, it has 0 volt dead battery charging, which because I run some lithium batteries, that can be handy. Sometimes lithium batteries can get to a point where they close and shut off, so you need a charger that's able to revive them when they have a 0 volt reading. And also it has the lithium charging profile built into it, and also you can customize your own charging profile in the settings. It does do equalization setting for lead acid, which will be handy because I still have the existing lead acid battery bank in there. There are some Trojan wet cell lead acids, so they need to be equalized every once in a while. So it's nice that this charger is able to do that. Adjustable low battery shutdown has a nice range from 10.1 up to 12.8. Because lithium and lead acid have kind of different profiles, it's nice to have that range to adjust it. Say I'm running the inverter off the lead acid under a heavy load, they tend to sag a lot more than the lithium. So if I wanted to use my lead acid bank, I may need to adjust that setting. Load management by reducing the charging amps. So if you're say I'm running shore power and I'm charging, say, at 100 amps, and I'm on a really fast charge on my battery bank, but then I turn something on in here, say my Instapot or something that draws a lot of amps, it will reduce the charging amps going to the battery temporarily while it's running the load that I need without shutting down the inverter, which is nice. Power save modes, either time or wattage. I don't really need to use that, but it's nice. It's there. Maybe some point I may need to leave the boat for several days, so I might want to set that time power saving mode. It's also got updatable firmware for the inverter and its communications card, and the remote display also can be updated. Ignition control. I don't really need that in my application, but it's nice to have. It's for if you're using it for a vehicle or something, and you go to turn on the ignition or turn off the car, you can control what happens to the inverter, whether it's going to be on or off. And then it also has NMEA port. That's for tying into boat marine stuff. A lot of marine equipment like chart plotters and multifunctional displays have this NMEA protocol. So you can plug the inverter into that and it would show up on your display. It would report power and amperage and wattage from the inverter right on your display. So in the future, that may come into play for me. Xantrex company is 40 years old now, so it's definitely been around a long time. Likely not going to be going away, so you got great support there. Also, it's based in British Columbia, and that's my home province, so they're right here in BC. It's nice to support a local company, and of course, their support should be pretty good that they're locally based. Couple dislikes. The settings adjustment is very tedious without the app. So if you were just to buy the inverter charger and it's got a little display with 3 buttons, it's kind of, you can adjust all your settings, but it's very, very tedious to sit there and push the little buttons to try to go through all the menus. You almost want to have the app. And that's the next dislike is the remote panel. You have to have the remote panel for the Bluetooth to get the app, and that is optional. So you don't get that when you buy the actual inverter. I thought when I bought it, it would have Bluetooth. I wouldn't need the remote panel, but no, the Bluetooth is in the remote panel. So you end up having to spend, I had to spend another $180 after spending a couple grand for the inverter just to get Bluetooth, which I really wanted on my phone. And the Bluetooth app, I find it a little hard. They have kind of a bluish color with kind of whitish off-white lettering, and it can kind of be hard to read. I wish they had a setting with a theme where I could change it, maybe black background with white text, or change the text, make it a little easier to see. That's just a small quibble anyway. So there you go. That's my review of the Freedom XC Pro Marine inverter charger. It does everything that we require. Seems to be quite a well-built piece of hardware. If anything goes wrong with it or anything, I'll be sure to let you know. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section. Till next time, Ray from Love You RV and Boat. Cheers, everyone.